Greetings, humans. I am Chen. Let's dive in.
I still remember the day we made our greatest mistake. The day we thought humanity was weak. My name is Vorn, and I was there when it all began. 3 cycles ago, the sensor arrays aboard our battle cruiser, the Talon's Edge, hummed with anticipation. We had tracked the human rescue fleet for 6 planetary rotations, watching them limp through the outer reach like wounded prey. 12 vessels, most of them unarmed medical frigates, crawling back toward their homeworld with thousands of survivors from the colony disaster at New Perth. Easy targets. Commander Vorn, my tactical officer Kreth, chittered excitedly, his mandibles clicking in that annoying way they did when he smelled glory. The humans have altered course. They're avoiding the nebula. I leaned forward in my command throne, my 3 eyes narrowing as I studied the holographic display. Predictable. They fear an ambush. Kreth's antennae twitched. Should we pursue directly? No. I allowed myself a thin smile, if you could call the twisting of my facial plates a smile. Send word to Battle Groups 7 and 9, have them intercept at junction point Theta. We'll come in from behind, box them in completely. It was textbook strategy. Overwhelming force against a defenseless target. The Galactic Unity Council would condemn us naturally, but they always did. Empty words from toothless bureaucrats. Besides, this wasn't about politics anymore. This was about sending a message. Humanity had been expanding too aggressively, claiming systems that rightfully belonged to older, more established species. My people, the Vryn Collective, had petitioned the Council 3 times to halt their expansion. 3 times we were ignored, told to negotiate, to compromise. We were done compromising. Have you contact established with Battle Groups 7 and 9, Kreth reported, his voice practically vibrating with excitement. They acknowledge and are moving to intercept positions. Excellent. I settled back into my throne, allowing anticipation to build in my chest cavity. 63 warships against 12 barely armed rescue vessels. The humans wouldn't even have time to broadcast a distress signal before we disabled their communications. This would be over in minutes. 2 hours later. The trap was perfect. Battle Group 7 emerged from hyperspace exactly on schedule, their massive dreadnoughts creating a wall of firepower directly in the humans' path. Battle Group 9 materialized seconds later, cutting off their flank. And then we dropped in behind them, our weapons hot and targeting systems locked. The rescue fleet stopped, just stopped, dead in space, like animals frozen in a predator's gaze. I watched them on my display, feeling satisfaction course through my neural pathways. They hadn't even attempted to run. They knew it was pointless. Open a channel, I commanded. Let me speak to whoever leads this doomed flotilla. Kreth worked his console, and moments later, a human face appeared on my screen. Female, if I remembered their binary biology correctly. Dark skin, close-cropped hair, eyes that showed no fear whatsoever. That should have been my first warning. I am Commander Vorn of the Vryn Collective, I announced, making sure my translator conveyed the proper tone of superiority. You are surrounded by 63 warships. Your vessels are outgunned, outnumbered, and completely at our mercy. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Your survivors will be processed. The human woman tilted her head slightly, and I swear to the void, she smiled. Commander Vorn, she said, her voice calm, almost casual. My name is Captain Maya Torres of the Earth Defense Fleet, and I have a question for you. I felt my satisfaction waver slightly. This wasn't the response I expected. Fear, panic, desperate pleas for mercy, those were appropriate responses, not questions. You are in no position to ask questions, human, I snapped. Oh, I think I am, Torres replied, and her smile grew wider. You see, you just made a very specific tactical choice. You boxed us in from 3 sides, leaving only one vector open. The vector leading toward the Helios Belt asteroid field. Now my question is this. Did you do that deliberately, or are you really that stupid? Kreth's mandibles stopped clicking. Several of my bridge crew turned to look at me, confusion rippling through their postures. What are you babbling about? I demanded, though something cold was beginning to form in my gut. I'm asking, Torres said, her smile vanishing like someone had flipped a switch. If you realize you just positioned your entire attack force exactly where we wanted you, and then the asteroid field exploded, not metaphorically, literally, 17 rocks, each the size of a small moon, each loaded with enough fusion charges to vaporize a planet, detonated simultaneously. The electromagnetic pulse alone fried half our sensor arrays. The shockwave that followed slammed into Battle Group 9 like the fist of an angry god. Alarms screamed across my bridge. Kreth was shrieking something about shield failures and hull breaches. I watched in absolute horror as 8 of our dreadnoughts simply ceased to exist, vaporized in the initial blast. Another dozen were tumbling out of control, their navigation systems dead, their hulls torn open like wet paper. Evasive maneuvers, I roared, but it was too late. The human rescue fleet, those supposedly helpless medical frigates, suddenly wasn't so helpless anymore. Armor plating dropped away from their hulls like shed skin, revealing weapons batteries that should not have existed on civilian vessels. Missile ports opened, railgun turrets swiveled, and they opened fire. Trap, Kreth whispered, his voice barely audible over the chaos. It was all a trap. The first salvo of human missiles hit Battle Group 7 while they were still reeling from the asteroid detonations. These weren't normal missiles. They were smart, adaptive, equipped with AI targeting systems that made our point defense look like children throwing rocks. They weaved through our countermeasures like dancers, like they were mocking us, before slamming into reactor cores and command decks with surgical precision. More ships died. I watched the Dominant Fang, one of our newest heavy cruisers, crack in half as 3 missiles found her power plant simultaneously. Her captain Zeln was a friend, had been a friend. Now he was radioactive particles expanding in a sphere. "Return fire," I screamed. "All batteries, maximum spread, kill them all." But the humans weren't where our targeting systems said they should be. They were moving in ways that violated every tactical doctrine I'd ever studied. Their formations flowing and shifting like liquid mercury. Every time we acquired a target lock, they'd already moved, already repositioned, already flanked us from an impossible angle. It was like fighting ghosts. "Sir," Kreth's voice was shaking now. "Battle Group 9 is gone. Completely destroyed. Battle Group 7 has lost 60% combat effectiveness. We've lost 18 ships ourselves. Our shields are at 31% and falling, 31%. We'd lost 41 warships in less than 8 minutes, against 12 rescue frigates. Withdraw, I heard myself say, though my pride screamed against the word. All groups emergency hyperspace jump, scatter pattern delta. We withdraw. "Sir, what about the survivors?" Kreth asked. I looked at him, looked at the carnage displayed across every screen, looked at the human vessels that were now pursuing our fleeing ships like wolves chasing wounded deer, and I made the only decision that made sense. Leave them, leave everyone. Just get us out of here. Now. The Talon's edge shuddered as our hyperspace engines engaged on emergency power. Space twisted, reality folded, and we fled. We ran like cowards from 12 ships we'd thought were helpless prey. The last thing I saw before we jumped was Captain Torres's face on my screen, still perfectly calm, still completely in control. She wasn't smiling anymore. "This was a mistake, Commander Vorn," she said quietly. "Attacking a rescue fleet, targeting medical ships, threatening wounded civilians." She leaned closer to her camera, and her eyes were cold, colder than the void between stars. "You just gave humanity permission to stop playing nice. And trust me when I tell you this, you really don't want to see what happens when we stop playing nice." The transmission cut. We jumped to hyperspace. And I knew, with absolute certainty, that we had awakened something terrible, present day. I sit in this interrogation cell, staring at the bland gray walls, and I wonder if Captain Torres knew, if she had any idea what would come next. If any of them did, because 3 cycles have passed since that ambush. 3 cycles since we lost 41 ships to 12 frigates. 3 cycles since the Vrine Collective declared total war on humanity, confident that our superior numbers would crush them. We were wrong. So very wrong. The door to my cell opens, and 2 humans enter. They wear the dark blue uniforms of Earth's Special Warfare Division, and they carry weapons I don't recognize. Modern designs. Efficient. Terrifying. "Commander Vorn," the taller one says, consulting a datapad. "We have some questions about Vren military installations. Specifically the locations of your command bunkers, your shipyards, your communication hubs." I say nothing. The human sighs. "You do understand your situation, don't you? Your fleet is destroyed. Your homeworld is blockaded. The Galactic Unity Council has abandoned you. The other species who supported your war, they've all surrendered. You're alone." Still, I remain silent. The second human, shorter but with eyes that remind me uncomfortably of Captain Torres, steps forward. "Let me paint you a picture, Commander. You attacked a rescue fleet. You threatened wounded civilians. You started this war. And humanity, the first human continues, finished it. In 3 cycles, we've systematically dismantled everything your species built over 10,000 years. Every military installation, every shipyard, every orbital platform, gone. Wiped out with a precision that terrifies every other species in the galaxy. The shorter one leans against the wall. Do you know what they're calling us now? The Council species, the ones who used to dismiss us as violent upstarts. They're calling us the Reaper species, because apparently when we decide someone needs to die, that person dies, and their friends die, and their friends die, and their friends' friends die, and we don't stop until there's nothing left but examples. My mandibles tremble. I can't help it. So here's what's going to happen, the first human says, his voice almost gentle, almost kind, which somehow makes it worse. You're going to tell us everything we want to know, and then if you're lucky, if you cooperate fully, we might let some of your people survive this. Maybe establish a protectorate, maybe allow limited self-governance. Or, the shorter one adds, you can stay silent, and we'll proceed with Protocol 7. I don't know what Protocol 7 is. I don't want to know. My vocal membranes, which I'd sworn would remain sealed, begin to speak, and I tell them everything. Because Captain Torres was right. We really didn't want to see what happened when humanity stopped playing nice. The humans let me keep my rank insignia. I find that detail oddly disturbing. They stripped me of my weapons, my authority, my freedom, but they let me keep the 3 silver crescents that mark me as a commander in the Vryn fleet, or what used to be the Vryn fleet, before humanity turned it into scattered debris and cautionary tales. It's psychological, the human guard tells me one day, noticing me staring at my reflection in the cell's polished surface. His name is Marcus, and he's surprisingly talkative for a jailer. Command wants you to remember who you were, what you represented, makes the fall hurt more. He's right. It does. 2 weeks after my capture, they moved me to a different facility, not a prison, exactly, more like a museum dedicated to humanity's capacity for absolutely disproportionate revenge. The transport shuttle is comfortable, which bothers me. I expect chains, darkness, the treatment we gave to our prisoners. Instead, I get a cushioned seat, a view screen, and Marcus offering me something called coffee. You'll want to see this, he says, adjusting the view screen to show the space outside. I look, and my throat sac constricts. We're passing through what used to be the Vryn Collective's outer defense perimeter. 47 military stations, each capable of destroying a small fleet. I helped design 3 of them myself, proud of their overlapping fields of fire, their redundant shield generators, their impossible to breach armor. They're gone. Not destroyed in the chaotic, explosive way of normal combat. No debris fields, no residual radiation signatures, no scattered wreckage floating in predictable orbital patterns. Just gone. Clean cuts where the stations used to be, like someone had erased them from reality with a very precise eraser. Disintegration beams, Marcus explains, seeing my confusion. New tech. Well, new to everyone else. We've had it for about 8 years, just never had a reason to deploy it before. He sips his coffee. Turns out vaporizing things at the molecular level doesn't leave much evidence behind. Efficient, right? I want to argue. Want to protest that such weapons violate 17 different galactic unity conventions. But the words die in my throat, because I remember what we did to the colony at New Perth. How we glassed the surface, killed 300,000 civilians, and called it acceptable losses. Humanity is showing us what acceptable losses really look like. We're taking you to Forward Command Station Retribution. Marcus continues, like he's giving a tour of local attractions. You'll be meeting with someone important, someone who wants to have a conversation about your people's future. We have no future, I whisper. Marcus shrugs. That's what the conversation is about. Forward Command Station Retribution. The station is massive, larger than any military installation I've ever seen, including our Grand Admiralty fortress back on Vryn Prime. But where our architecture favored intimidating spikes and aggressive angles, this human station is all smooth curves and efficient design. Beautiful. In a terrifying sort of way. They escort me through corridors filled with human soldiers, all of them moving with purpose, none of them giving me a second glance. I'm not worth their attention. I'm already defeated, already irrelevant. We reach a conference room, and Marcus gestures for me to enter. Inside, sitting at a simple table with a cup of that coffee substance, is Captain Maya Torres. She looks exactly the same as she did during our disastrous ambush. Same close-cropped hair, Same dark eyes, same expression of absolute calm control. The only difference is the uniform. She's wearing an admiral's insignia now, promoted for destroying my battle groups. Probably. Commander Vorn, she says, gesturing to the chair across from her. Please, sit. We have much to discuss. I sit, because refusing seems pointless. Do you know why you're here? Torres asks, folding her hands on the table. To gloat? The words escape before I can stop them. She actually laughs. A short, sharp sound that holds no humor whatsoever. Gloat. Commander, if we wanted to gloat, we'd parade you through every human colony you threatened. Let the crowds throw things. Make a spectacle of your defeat. No. You're here because you're going to help us end this war. The war is already over, I mutter. You've won. Completely, decisively, humiliatingly. True, Torres agrees, but ending it and winning it are two different things. See, we've destroyed your military, blockaded your worlds, crippled your economy, but your people still haven't surrendered. Not officially. The Vryn High Council is hiding in some bunker somewhere, still sending out propaganda about glorious resistance and eventual victory. She leans forward. That's where you come in. I feel my mandibles click nervously. What could I possibly offer you? Credibility, Torres says simply. You're a war hero to your people. Decorated commander, respected tactician, veteran of 6 campaigns. If you go on galactic broadcast and tell the truth about what happened here, about why you lost, about what continuing this war will cost, they'll listen. You want me to betray my people. I want you to save them, Torres corrects. Because here's what you don't know, Commander. What we haven't made public yet. 3 days ago, your High Council authorized the use of biological weapons against human civilian populations. They're planning to release a plague on New Tokyo, hoping to kill millions before we can respond. Ice floods my circulatory system. That's insane. That would violate every convention, every treaty, every rule you've already broken, Torres finishes. Yes, it would. And normally we'd just intercept the attack, arrest the perpetrators and add it to the list of war crimes. But here's the thing, Commander. Humanity is tired of playing defense. We're tired of being the good guys who show restraint while everyone else plays dirty. She stands, walking to the window that shows the vast expanse of space beyond the station. So we've made a decision. If that biological weapon is deployed, if even one human civilian dies from it, we will respond with Protocol Omega. Do you know what that is? I shake my head, afraid to speak. Protocol Omega is total extinction, Torres says quietly. Not of your military, not of your government, of your entire species. Every Vryn on every world, in every colony. We'll hunt you down systematically, methodically, and we won't stop until your species exists only in archived databases. The room spins. You're bluffing. No species would. We absolutely could, Torres says, and her voice carries complete certainty. We've already prepared the deployment vectors, biological agents tailored specifically to Vryn physiology, nanite swarms programmed to recognize your genetic markers, kinetic bombardment satellites positioned over every major population center. We could activate Protocol Omega and have your species extinct within 48 hours. She turns back to face me. But we don't want to do that, Commander. We're not monsters, we're just done being victims. So you have a choice. Help us convince your High Council to surrender unconditionally, to hand over the biological weapons, to accept occupation and disarmament, or watch your entire species die because they were too proud to admit defeat. I stare at her. This human who orchestrated the perfect ambush, who now holds the fate of billions in her hands, and I realize something terrifying. She means every word. What? What are your terms? I hear myself ask. Torres returns to her seat, pulling up a holographic display. Complete military disarmament, dissolution of the High Council, Earth-appointed oversight government for a minimum of 50 cycles, reparations to be paid to the families of New Perth victims, full cooperation with war crimes tribunals, restricted access to hyperspace technology until you've proven you can use it responsibly. That's not surrender, I whisper. That's annihilation of everything we are. No, Torres corrects. Annihilation is Protocol Omega. This is humiliation. There's a difference. One leaves you alive to rebuild. Eventually, the other doesn't. She deactivates the display. You have 12 hours to decide, Commander. Help us save your people or don't. But understand this clearly. The Vryn Collective as you knew it is finished. The only question remaining is whether your species survives its passing. 8 hours later, I record the message in a small studio, with human technicians adjusting lighting and camera angles. They're professional, efficient, and they don't meet my eyes. I wonder if they're ashamed of what their species has become. Then I remember the ambush, the rescue fleet, the civilians we threatened, and I realize they have nothing to be ashamed of. We do. Whenever you're ready, Commander, the director says. I take a breath, look into the camera, and begin speaking to my people for what might be the last time. Citizens of the Vryn Collective. This is Commander Vorn. Many of you know me. You've celebrated my victories, trusted my judgment, believed in my leadership. Today I ask you to trust me one final time. The war with humanity is over. We lost. Not because they were lucky, or because we made mistakes, but because we fundamentally misunderstood what we were fighting. We saw them as young, aggressive, undisciplined. We thought their compassion was weakness, their restraint was fear, their mercy was vulnerability. We were catastrophically wrong. I pause, gathering strength to continue. I attacked a rescue fleet carrying wounded civilians. I thought it would be easy. I thought they were helpless. Instead, they were bait for a trap so perfectly executed that we lost 41 warships in less than 10 minutes. That should have taught me something. Taught us all something. Taught us all something. It didn't. We escalated. We authorized biological weapons. We planned to murder millions of innocent humans in their homes, and we convinced ourselves it was justified, that it was necessary, that somehow our pride mattered more than the lives of billions. The humans have shown me their response plan, protocol, Omega. Total extinction of our species within 48 hours if we deploy those weapons. And after seeing what they did to our military, I have no doubt they can do it. My voice cracks, but I force myself to continue. High Council, if you're listening, I beg you, surrender. Accept their terms. Hand over the weapons. Because if you don't, if you let your pride destroy us all, then every death, every extinction, every lost child and broken family will be your fault, not humanity's, yours. We started this. We attacked first. We threatened civilians. We broke every rule we claimed to uphold. And now we must face the consequences. Surrender. Please. Let our species survive, even if our empire doesn't. It's the only mercy we're going to get. I stop speaking. The camera continues recording for a few more seconds, then stops. Good take, the director says. We'll have this broadcast across all Vryn communication channels within the hour. I nod, feeling hollowed out and ancient. Admiral Torres enters the studio, watching the playback on a monitor. Well done, Commander. That took courage. Did it? I ask bitterly. Or was it just cowardice disguised as pragmatism? Does it matter? Torres responds. You told the truth. You might save your people. That's more than most defeated commanders can claim. She's right, of course. But it doesn't make me feel better. 43 hours later.
Mabadvarin High Council surrenders.
They transmit coordinates for the biological weapon stockpiles, provide access codes to remaining military installations, and formally dissolve the collective's government structure. Every demand, accepted. Every condition agreed to. Humanity wins completely. And true to their word, they don't activate Protocol Omega. Instead, they begin the occupation with almost uncomfortable efficiency. Medical teams arrive on Vryn worlds to treat the wounded. Food shipments follow, preventing the starvation our collapsed economy would have caused. Human administrators work with surviving Vryn officials to maintain basic services. It's not mercy, exactly, more like strategic pragmatism. They need us functional enough to pay reparations, stable enough to not create a power vacuum that other species might exploit. But we're alive. And in this new reality, that's a victory of sorts. Marcus visits my cell one last time before they transfer me to the War Crimes Tribunal. For what it's worth, he says, you did the right thing. Your broadcast convinced a lot of people, probably saved millions of lives. Will it save mine? I ask. He shrugs. Not my call. But you cooperated. You told the truth. You helped end the war. That'll count for something. Maybe. After he leaves, I sit in the quiet cell and think about Captain Torres's words during our first encounter. You just gave humanity permission to stop playing nice. She was right. We did. And we learned. Far too late. That humanity's version of playing nice was the only thing keeping them from becoming the galaxy's most terrifying predators. We thought we were wolves hunting sheep. Turns out we were mice that poked a sleeping dragon. The dragon woke up, and it was hungry. 6 months later, the tribunal sentences me to 40 cycles in a rehabilitation facility, followed by supervised community service. It's lenient considering my crimes. The families of New Perth victims protest, demanding execution. Admiral Torres testifies on my behalf. explaining how my cooperation helped prevent Protocol Omega's activation, how my broadcast saved lives, how justice and vengeance aren't always the same thing. The judges listen. They reduce my sentence further. I spend my time in the facility studying humanity's military history, trying to understand how we missed so many warning signs. Their wars against themselves were brutal beyond imagination. Their capacity for violence when provoked was well documented. Their technological innovation was legendary. We just assumed none of that would apply to us. We forgot the most important rule of predator behavior. Never ever corner something that's learned to fight back. Sometimes, late at night, I wonder about the other species. The ones watching humanity's rise with growing fear. The ones seeing how quickly Ryan fell, how completely we were crushed, how efficiently we were occupied. I wonder if they'll learn the lesson we paid for in blood and ash and broken pride. Probably not. Someone, somewhere will convince themselves that humanity is different now. Softer, more civilized, that their mercy means weakness. And when that happens, when some new species makes the same mistake we did, I hope they remember Commander Vorn's testimony. I hope they recall what happened when we attacked a rescue fleet. I hope they choose differently, because humanity has shown us something terrifying. They're willing to play nice, to follow rules, to show restraint and compassion, right up until you give them a reason not to. And then they'll show you exactly why they climbed to the top of their own planet's food chain. With efficiency, precision, and an absolute refusal to stop until the threat is completely, utterly, permanently eliminated. We learned that lesson. I pray no one else has to, but I suspect they will, because pride, it seems, is a universal constant, and humanity's response to it is now equally universal, swift, decisive, final.
So, what do you think of humanity's ruthless retaliation? Could the Wren have avoided their fate, or was their defeat inevitable the moment they attacked those rescue ships? Share your thoughts in the comment below and don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic HFY stories. Until next time, remember, never underestimate humanity.